Good afternoon, dear user. This would be my life's possessions right here. Life's possessions. I went from beautiful house, beautiful car, beautiful dog, beautiful wife, to beautiful street. Enter this mysterious character. Now, what am I doing outside of Southland Station here in Calgary? Wearing this funny toque, which I have no clue what it is, but I like it. This thing right here. I don't know if it's like for old ladies or something, but it works just fine. Because the temperature aspect needs to be taken into consideration, you see. Now, as for why my luggage is on the street, the beautiful lady of my dreams, as it were, turned into a veritable nightmare. Isn't it the case, dear viewer, that love, whatever it is, if such a thing exists, if it's not a delusion, which actually it is according to Islamic way of thinking, love, like one scholar said, love is not even mentioned in the Quran. It's only mentioned once in the story of Prophet Joseph. Imam Ali, apparently, peace be upon him, said that love is the greatest delusion. So now, my wife and I had an argument, and she ended up calling the cops. And this being Canada, beautiful Canada, free transit Canada because of COVID. Stay safe. Thank you for watching. I realize I should thank my viewer right away, like Alex Becker, one of my internet marketing gurus. Hey Alex, how's it going, buddy? Another $100,000 day there yet? Or not? Okay, so yeah, beautiful Calgary. So Southland Station, waiting for the train or not waiting. I mean, once you're on the street, it's true. Like, people say this as a generalization without understanding the thing, or they think it. They think, well, you know, you got street people, they're just sitting around all day, right? It's not like that. Everybody wants a home. Everybody wants, you know, a place of their own, be it a single room. Everybody wants the same thing. I mean, and ultimately, I mean, I have clothes on. You know, I got a bit of money in the bank, like 20, 40 bucks at least is all you need to, what is this thing? Anyway, you know what I'm saying, to feed yourself. And here in Canada, you don't have to worry about that because, you know, as long as you don't act crazy, you can go into somewhere inside. It's a shelter or hospital or anywhere. Listen, if you're really down and out, you just go to the police station. They probably put you inside if you really insist. Right? In the States, you got to go out and break a window or something. Here in Canada, they're so nice, right? So the cops came around to the house and it's like, you know, yeah, your wife feels threatened or something. And I was like, me? I don't want to harm a hair on her head. So in any case, a lot of that was, by the way, for the benefit of this person outside. But all of what I said is true, right? So I guess the gist of it, I might as well just tell you what the gist of it is. The gist of it is that for 7 years, from 2011 to 2018, I suffered from bipolar 2 is what they call it, bipolar 2. A person has an internal set of values and beliefs which they need to corroborate with the external world. So, to simplify that, if everyone you know is telling you something, then you need to look into that, right? Now, the law of opposites being in effect, which is something I've come up with, which I may write about one day. Law of opposites says that, you know, both situations are true. If everyone tells you that you're lazy, then you probably are lazy. If people are like, if two people mention you got like, you know, your hair looks weird, then you probably like, but on the other hand, maybe that's cool, right? So every successful person, for example, will tell you, you got to get to a point where the whole world is against you. And that's where I am right now, right? Because, I mean, my wife, as far as I'm concerned in the law, she could bar me from going back and collecting any of my stuff, and I'd have to go through a whole legal process to get my like $2,500 television, $2,500 computer, not to mention clothes and various knickknacks. I just got my laptop, okay, jackets and books and just various like toiletry. I mean, basically enough to make me a rich guy in the world inhabited by people such as this person. Because I believe in God, God sent a person like this to be an example for me so as to not feel sorry for myself. Is that like, I mean, if I posit that, is that something that might seem strange to you, dear viewer? That's the way I see it. Don Juan, who was the mentor and teacher and guide of Carlos Castaneda, the acclaimed anthropologist. Carlos Castaneda essentially was a master's student at the University UCLA Berkeley, University of California, Los Angeles in Berkeley, circa 65 to 68, some nonsense like that. It was in 68 that he published, I guess it was seminal at the time, but when you read it today, it seems like a dry text compared to his follow-up publications. He published the teachings of Don Juan, right? Lessons of a Yankee master or something. Yankee being Y-A-N as in Nancy, Q-U-I. That's a form of Indians that live in the Sonora Desert in Mexico. Like, I'm talking like I know where that stuff is. I have no idea. Now, Don Juan would tell Castaneda that there's two ways of looking at the world. And this is a little tidbit for my atheist friends. There's the objective reality, or the approach, or the paradigm, or the worldview predominated by reason and rationality, which of course is a stepping stone of spirituality, which of course is the key to fulfillment and any kind of measure of constructive life, right? It's all based on rationality and reason. You know, if you work hard and you pay your bills and you set goals and all this stuff, and you know, that guy's kind of sketchy, right? So I got my street sense fucking fired up here. I'm gonna go out and continue this lecture for this lady's edification, eh? I don't even know if she's a guy or a lady, quite frankly. So yeah, so Carlos Castaneda, University of Berkeley, okay, late 60s, he writes this book. The book's called The Teachings of Don Juan. Now, Don Juan, it's very funny because when you say Don Juan, people think Don Juan Quixote. Don just means like, it's like a, there's no equivalent in English, unfortunately. It's like in Urdu, we have Sahib. Sahib means sir, or good sir, or, you know, like for instance, you say Don in Italian as well, like these fucking mafioso, they say Don as well, right? You know, Don, what would it be, fucking, Gigante, Vincent Gigante, for instance, is fucking, what is it, Lucchese, no, he was Genovese. Vincent Gigante, Don Gigante, they call him fucking Don. It's a mark of respect, right? It's just like, so you don't have anything like that in English, right? So, like, you might say sir, but then Queen has to knight you in order for you to be called sir. So that says something about imperialism and the monarchy right there. Carlos Castaneda wrote 10 best-selling books. He's basically, if nothing else, then this video, if I spent the rest of this video, however long it's going to be, talking about Carlos Castaneda and trying to introduce you to the man and get you to actually Google Journey to Ixtlan, Fire from Within, Tales of Power, Power of Silence, Active Side of Infinity, any of his books, Second Ring of Power, The Eagle's Gift, Power of Silence, any of those books, I would start with The Power of Silence. Then I'd go to Journey to Ixtlan. For a long time, I told people to start with Journey to Ixtlan. You know, it's a marketing thing. So the profound truths that Don Juan imparts may seem like fairy tales to the average person. What kind of truths? The truth that we really are just spirits. And it's not even that we're spirits inhabiting a body. Basically, Don Juan's teachings get a person to the level that they can transcend materialism. You can literally just fly off into fucking outer space, guys. What does that mean? Like, I mean, so is there no world of material objects? Does this thing not exist, this rail? It does exist on some level, but even scientists nowadays, it's the same thing that Indians say. Gurus for, I mean, couple of millennia at least, have been saying that everything's energy. It was like the Indian gurus apparently who basically postulated this. like through their visions, right? I mean, I guess I have to say I had one myself the other day. For the first time in my life, I saw fucking all white. I've been reading about this for decades. You reach a point where you suddenly you just see light. And it's like, I've read an Islamic description of it. There's a whole light that comes from east to the west, or it's not even like that. It's just like, it's just a blinding light. And that's not even like you hear angels. It's not even that. It's just like you get detached from everything, and you just feel like you're fucking floating in a bubble of light. So what does this mean? Right? So what does that mean? Like, so now I'm back to normal life. There's the train. There's a dude sitting on the steps. There's Southland Station. So who cares about the light? The light, you see, people meditate, right? And they make a big deal of these so-called spiritual experiences. Here's a tip, a pro tip for the spiritualist. Spiritual experiences mean shit unless you can deal with fucking physical reality, right? If you can handle life, then you become worthy of mastering the spiritual world. These so-called crackpots who call themselves gurus are fuckers who can't find a job, can't pay their bills. They're scam artists like most internet marketers. Like I mentioned Alex Becker, he's a goddamn monk. He sold his Lamborghini. He sold his fucking mansion in Austin. I'm sorry for the F-bombs. I've just been a bit of a wreck recently. That's why my wife called the cops. I've just been so worked up, right? We figured that it's vitamins that I was taking. I told you I had been diagnosed in the past with being bipolar 2, and that's when I smoke weed. And so it's obvious, right? Your whole body is either electricity or chemicals. These are the two things that make you work, right? Of course there's the physical particles. So if you screw with that, then you're taking big risks. It's like you plug a fucking 240 machine into a 140 volt or some vice versa it would be, right? The fucking thing's gonna get fried, right? So, you know, so any kind of alteration to your nervous system, your chemistry and physiology, of course it's going to produce adverse reactions. And the way we perceive the world is very fine-tuned. According to Don Juan, babies don't perceive a world of solid objects. According to Don Juan, babies perceive the universe. What a distinguished taxi driver you are, sir. Would you wave for my viewers? You're the man, bro. Bro, you're like from another time. This guy just got out of this cab. Did you see how he was dressed? He looks like he could be fucking chauffeuring people around Bay Street. What a nice man, eh? Anyway, that's enough. I'm rambling. This is making no sense, and I'm swearing. And I don't like swearing because you might have the odd kid come and watch this stuff. And now I got to tell YouTube that this damn thing's made for children, which it's not. So maybe I should go on and just finish this chain of thought. All right, so now, physical reality does exist. Anyone who tells you that there's no material objective reality is an idiot, because obviously there is. There's something going on, and a bunch of people share the same reality. So if I'm here and I say to this dude, hey, you see those red mailboxes over there? And the dude says, yeah, that means there's something there, and we both are tuned in, you know. So how can he have an idea of that and me separate? So that means those things are there, right? So people who say that the world is a dream and you're making it up as you go along, I mean, there's like spiritual crackpots once again. So internet marketers are the same. Majority of them are just selling courses. They don't know shit. They don't know how to make money online. They did something once, it worked once, and it worked for a few months or even a fucking few years. And now it's not working anymore. Sorry for the F-bombs, folks. There goes that distinguished man again. You're amazing, Mike. You're so amazing. I can, like, you're just you're a caricature.
Well, thank you.
You're really something else. Keep it real. God bless you, man.
Thank you.
That guy is amazing. I mean, he's just like, he's basically the warrior ethic. The guy is in his own world. He's just like, you know, he's just on another level. Have you ever seen so that, for me, that's another sign, right? I mean, have you ever seen a taxi driver like that? They're like all scrumpled up and all this kind of stuff, and this guy's walking around and he looks beautiful. You would have this dude at a concierge desk at a 5-star hotel or a top-notch condominium building, or, you know, Bay Street or Wall Street or whatever, and I would have no problem taking this guy to meet some of my clients or something like that, dear user. So now, my wife threw me out because I was acting up, right? And this obviously is not normal. Walking around in circles, just rabbiting and engaging people, those are symptoms of bipolar mania. You start to feel, because it's chemicals once again. So you've got dopamine, the same thing you get from cocaine and weed and meth, okay? When you're bipolar, something gets screwed up and your brain starts flooding with serotonin and dopamine. And then you just feel like you get in trouble, actually, because I used to be like the guy who would just provoke fucking fights just to see what happened. And it'd be like, a couple of 2x4s and bloody heads later, it's like you're laughing about it, right? Because ultimately, it's all a state of mind, right? It only matters if you matter, right? So if you make it matter. When they say mind over matter, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. It's true. But that's also the definition of insanity, right? So everyone's crying and things are blowing up and you're standing there cool, like a cool fucking cat or something. Then it's like, that dude there must be something wrong with him. So this goes back to what I was saying right at the beginning of this little spiel here. It's kind of going in circles. And you know what? I usually try and finish at the 15-minute mark. And so let me just say this to you, dear user. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to share this historic moment for myself and for any others who might be interested in this kind of situation, which is the whole world seems against you. You've got nothing. You're out on the street. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Now, recently my wife brought me these extra special high-end multivitamins, and in the past I've taken multivitamins and they've started to trigger these manic symptoms. So I mean, and the sad thing is, you take them for a month and you're fine and not normal, and then suddenly it accumulates. It's just like when I used to smoke weed. I smoke weed for a month, 2-3 months, and I'm fine, and suddenly I realize I'm out of it. And by that time the chemicals in my brain are just, and so it's cops and fights and gutters and shelters and scraping for food and picking up fucking croissants from the snow and eating them. But in any case, I'm just here to say that, God is great. And it's like I was telling the cops, right? I was told them about everything from Nietzsche to the Quran to whatever, and they were just like, whoa. When they came in to pick me up, I was actually on a fucking online meeting, like pitching I'm not pitching, he's my client now. Talking to him about his Google ads. He's like a financial advisor in Spokane, Washington. And I had him on you guys use Zoom because everybody uses Zoom. Whereby.com is what you should be using. You don't need to download shit. You just shoot them. Like my Whereby room is whereby.com/Digimark for digital marketing. Right, so me and him are having this conference, and I see the fucking cops come up the driveway. And I'm like, oh, not this. Because we just argued, and we came back home, and I locked the door on her, and she drove off. And I thought she's going to go to her pastor's house or her friend's house, but she's a fucking Colombiana. So she called the cops. She's like, you going to go into my house? That's what she's thinking, of course. I'm paying the bills, but whatever, right? She's like, you're going to go into my house? Because it's her pastor who's, just her name on the lease kind of thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Even if it was my house, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to tell my lady to go outside. I'm not going to tell my lady to go outside and I'm the man of the house. Like my dad says, a man can just be sitting on a fucking pavement and everything's good. And I was telling the cop at one point, I said, listen, man, you don't have to believe in God or the Spirit or Buddha or Christ. No label. You don't, and people, you could have a bad Buddhist, a good Christian, a bad Muslim, and a good fucking Hindu. What matters is what's inside. Nothing else matters. Not your words, simply your actions, I guess. Right? Your words don't matter. Let's just put it this way. What you fucking feel inside, that's how you're going to behave. And what you say, you shouldn't say shit. This is my problem. Anyway, thanks for watching. And you know what? That feeling inside, the feeling that tells you everything's going to be all right, and that there's hope, and that no matter how bad things get, it's going to be just fine. And even if you don't know what the purpose is, there is a purpose, right? So it's up to you to man up, as the man said, and fucking do your job and stop complaining. Thank you. Comments appreciated. Good afternoon, dear viewer. Well, after that brief, absurd encounter downtown with the Syrian man and his bunny rabbits, I'm here to talk about
The next stop is
Yuval Harari. And as you can see, I'm staying safe now. So my brother-in-law, Isa Bhai, who I was, you know what? I'm gonna risk my life for you, dear viewer. I can't speak through that thing and you can't hear me. Yuval Hariri. So I was talking about Isa Bhai on the video clip walking the dog. And I mentioned that he put out this meme talking about how everyone's starting a damn podcast during the COVID crisis. And it's like he says, it's like COVID has talent. And this was amusing apparently. It was amusing apparently. I didn't find it amusing at all. I actually took it the wrong way, and it actually bent me out of shape, because I'm the guy who, after spending 10 years working for Fortune 500 companies like Oracle, Computer Associates, and whatnot, you know, humbled myself and basically worked as a security guard, sucking eggs and opening doors for people for 7 years in Toronto. Am I bent out of shape over it? No, I'm bent out of shape over what the Amway folks call dream stealers. Dream stealers. I met some dude and we were talking about the COVID crisis. There's people, and I honestly have to say, I'm becoming more and more partial to that way of thinking. There's people that say that this COVID crisis is being blown out of proportion so that the authorities can clamp down on people in general, and specifically the middle class. Every 10 years you've got some kind of global crisis. I'm going to try holding back the F-bombs. 1990, invasion of Gulf War, right? Invasion of Kuwait or whatever the hell that was. So they basically armed Saddam, and then when he did his stuff, they came in and finished him off or whatever. Or let's say like Bush Sr. started the deal and Bush Jr. finished it. Whatever, who cares? I couldn't care less. And I'm from that part of the world. Listen, there's good and bad people, and there's also good and bad karma. Now, year 2001, 9/11. Inside job, yes, I would say so. I think this is what I think, but global catastrophe or whatever, right? Markets shooting up and down, whatever, right? Wars and all this rubbish, right? So now, 2009, I was in Seattle with my beautiful wife. We were working, I was working actually, we were living there. I was working for a company called Onvia. Interestingly, they were the, or are the, ONVIA, it means on the way. They are the largest database of state, federal, and government contracts. Like the city of Seattle wants to build a bridge. The city of Tacoma wants to pave some roads. Now these agencies, and federal as well, you know, obviously the United States wants to buy more fucking bombs, that kind of thing. So these agencies basically have to put out RFPs, a request for a proposal, and an RFQ, a request for a quote. And this company Onvia, I mean, it was obviously a prime company. That's why I was working there, quite frankly. It was a Deloitte & Touche Fast 50 company. I worked for 3 of those companies. 3 different Deloitte & Touche Fast 50 companies in 3 different cities, right? And I can tell you how that is done. If you're interested, shoot me a note. Now, it was an opportune time for that company because everyone was talking about the stimulus, right? The stimulus, right? So the whole point, right? So what's the thinking behind this COVID crisis? I want to get to know what's the deal with this COVID crisis conspiracy? What is it? And why are rational and intelligent people, not to mention, you know, celebrities and influencers, you know, becoming more and more partial to this thing? Well, I'll tell you why, because it makes perfect sense. I'll ask everyone on this train. I've been asking all day. I've been, you know, traveling on my way to see my dad, as it were, and I'm almost there. And every single person I ask has the same answer. To what question? Do you know anyone who has COVID? And what's the answer? You all know, because nobody knows fucking anybody who has COVID. Nobody knows, nobody I know knows anybody. That's a big circle right there, by the way. Because I'm on Twitter, right? I know one guy on Twitter, he put out this video. Now who's to say they didn't pay him some money? But the question is, how the fuck does that happen? China? Russia? Like America working hand in hand? It's inconceivable. So there's a virus for sure. Like my friend Eliad Ginsburg in Moscow got me onto this line of thinking. And it makes perfect sense. Every 10 years, okay, you'll be like, what happened in 1980? Whatever, 1979 you had the OPEC fucking crisis. 1960 you had Vietnam, I don't know. Who knows? Kennedy was assassinated by the fucking mafia. I have no clue. But the point is that
Marlborough Station.
the way I see it is like this.
On the left.
Adolf Hitler, rabble-rousing fucking Munich bar brawler or whatever the shit he was, like the corporal from the First World War who became like the Fuhrer, right? Now, you know, you can't just dismiss a guy like that. You need to study him, right? And he actually laid out his whole plan in Mein Kampf, My Struggle. If you read Mein Kampf, the dude was homeless in Vienna for years, fucking years, like myself. I was actually on the street for a while in Toronto. Cause why? Because I had a dream. I refused to go back to the corporate world. I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. I recently had some email marketing company in New York try and fucking hire me as a virtual account manager. And it's like, why would I do that, right? Anyway. Why? I mean, why would I, after struggling and suffering to get my consultancy up to a point where I'm actually getting calls from people and they're paying me to do shit for them, like run Google ads or optimize their Google My Business listing or some nonsense. There's all kinds of stuff you can do online. Guys, I'm going to get to this book. I need to say this about the COVID thing because it makes sense. Adolf Hitler, rabble-rouser, Mao Zedong, Stalin, and even the beautiful and amazing Che Guevara, they all had the same MO, modus operandi. They went to the peasants, the farmers, the workers, the lowest level of society, essentially was the biggest threat for the powers that be. Mao Zedong went out into the countryside and he comes back with like an army of like hundreds of thousands of people. And by the way, Mao Zedong killed anywhere from 50 to 100 million people. I asked the Chinese guy about this once. The guy looked me straight in the eye and he said, well, sometimes people have to be killed. And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Oh, well, that's great, bro. I got the hell out of there. I wasn't going to let this dude cut my hair after that, right? Anyway, it's not funny at all. Hundreds of millions of people, right? Stalin killed 20 million people. Adolf Hitler was a fucking pup compared to Stalin and Mao Zedong. Adolf Hitler, if you actually read Mein Kampf, he was just a racist / nationalist.
Rendell Station. Doors normally open on the
he was
left.
just consumed by this. I mean, I don't want to use the word passion because that's a good word. Like, you should be passionate. He had this kind of fucking frenzy about Lebensraum, like giving the German people living space, and the Jews being a cancer and an epidemic, and we got to get rid of them. Right? So I mean, it's like the dude was pretty fired up, right? So what I'm trying to say is that you cannot dismiss him. You must study the process and the circumstances through which he came to power. People are like, never again. 9/11, never again. 9/11, first of all, there's been plenty of buildings that have burned for up to 24 hours. Like mostly for some reason in South America, where my wife is from, for whatever reason, either they party too hard or whatever. 24-story building, 45, whatever. I don't know the details. Go look it up. That's your job. If you're watching this and you are interested, go look it up. I became a skeptic about the official position when I actually watched Loose Change. And when I watched Loose Change, I came out the other day and saying, those motherfuckers, neocons, Condoleezza Rice, Rumsfeld, Cheney, all these fucking people, Tom Wolfe. You know what, man, I hate swearing like this, but you know, sometimes you need to swear. That's the Quran even says that. Anyway, I'm sorry guys for swearing. Anyone care? Alright, so now 9/11, and then 9 years later you've got well, let's go back to 9/11. I was saying that all these buildings have burned. The superstructure of the Twin Towers, this was during the Cold War. They built these buildings. They were practically bomb-proof. They wanted to make them nuclear bomb-proof, obviously. And certainly, I mean, look it up. Once again, I don't know, because there's engineers on one side and engineers on the other side. Obviously, apparently, like the climate change issue is still up in the air for some folks. I mean, I'm here in Calgary, like, it's the middle of fucking April, and 2 days ago it was the sunniest day ever, and 3 days ago, or 4, it was like an Arctic ice storm. okay? I don't need any goddamn scientist to tell me what's what. Honestly, just do your due diligence. This is the 21st century. You don't need some expert telling you shit. Honestly, just go look things up. You'll be surprised at what's out there, right? And the kind of stuff that's happening. I'm not discounting the government or official position. I'm just saying there may be something more to what seems to be apparent and a de facto thing for most folks. All right, like Noel Harari, I'll come back to. I mean, I started reading this book, okay? My brother-in-law, my beautiful brother-in-law, Isabai, who I was batting practically on the last video, he gave me this book, and it's an expensive book. I don't know why someone would pay this much when you could get something on Kindle for like a third of the cost or whatever, right? I mean, I don't say you should download books for free. I used to work for software companies. But anyway, nice little note there. July 19th. San, hope you enjoy this as much as I did. Blah, blah, blah. I started reading it. I just couldn't handle it. It's just like a Richard Dawkins for me. I picked up Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion. I ended up writing a rebuttal to that book, The No God Delusion. And I'm in the process of like looking at offers or whatever to get that published if I want to. I'm not even sure I want to be honest. I couldn't care less, frankly. Who cares about that stuff? My whole thing is I'm a writer, and therefore I write, right? I produce content. Right now I'm podcasting and creating YouTube videos as long as I can pay my bills, right? Everyone is after the celebrity lifestyle, and no one realizes how much celebrities suffer. They fucking suffer. They're cooped up in their mansions. I'd go insane. I'm sure you'd have a hard time. It's just like this COVID thing. Okay, so 9/11. First of all, can you make cell phone calls from a plane? You can't even do that in 2020. So how are these fucking people on flight A93 making cell phone calls and all this shit? And not to mention the crash site. There's no black box. Pentagon crash site. There's no engine damage or engines. And these engines, Rolls-Royce engines, they're indestructible. You'll find the engines at a plane crash site, period. If you find anything, unless there's been some kind of atomic, subatomic explosion or some bullshit from the Matrix where the whole goddamn thing disappears into another dimension. I got one more stop, so I really have to wrap this up very quickly. 9/11, there's a lot of stuff, right? The Pentagon was a perfect hole in the Pentagon. Perfect hole. There was no engine damage. The feds went around and grabbed all the CCTV footage from adjoining buildings, and it's like this guy who made the movie 9/11 or Loose Change, the 9/11 conspiracy theory, Loose Change. This dude, I was watching something on YouTube with like hundreds of thousands of views, and therefore it seemed worth watching. 700 plus views. And they seem to talk about the government position, but you know what? It's like the Quran said, truth has arrived and falsehood is going to perish. And that's what falsehood does, it perishes. The truth comes out. So if 9/11 was an inside job, that is going to come out. Like some dude was just telling me, we're talking about the COVID conspiracy, he's like, Bill Gates created it. I'm like, what? Some other dude's like, China created it in a lab. Bill Gates, I mean, I hate Microsoft just like any other honest software / tech person. It's like my boss Larry Ellison from Oracle used to say, well, he's standing outside a Justice building, he's like being sued by Microsoft as usual, and he's like, I don't see any of their damn lawyers here. He's like, as far as Microsoft is concerned, they're a marketing company that pretends to be a technology company. There's no innovation there. For them, innovation is stealing other people's ideas and sticking it in Windows. Right? So, on the other hand, Bill Gates, obviously, just like Hitler, quite frankly, achieved some levels of success that are, quite frankly, outside of the realm of imaginings for most people. So, therefore, they deserve attention, they deserve to be listened to, they deserve to be studied. Adolf Hitler, madman, yes. Devil, demon incarnate, yes. Killer of babies and Jews and everyone. These Nazis, they were just like monsters, just like the Taliban, right? I'm a Muslim, I should know. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm from Pakistan. These fucking people went into schools and shot kids. They lined up some kids at the front of the class, and they're like, who wants to go home? And they made a line of kids. They shot them all. And then they said afterwards, well, we sent them straight to heaven. Can you believe how sick that is? That's not Islam, by the way, and I don't want to start down that path. But in any case, 9/11, there's a lot going on there. I'm not even going to talk about it. Then you got 2009, folks, the global recession, Now it's 2020, so every 10 years they try and just shake things up so that people have nothing else to talk about, and now we can't even talk to other people. I got a mask, I'm wearing it around my neck, that's fine. But it's like we're all broke now. We've lost our life savings, we've lost our jobs, we've lost everything, and obviously we have no power left. Or do we? These fucking fools, they don't realize this thing's gonna backfire. And maybe I'll talk about that in my next video. But thanks for watching. I'd appreciate if you A, subscribed, B, paid my mortgage on our townhouse, C, hit the like button there, just smash that shit as they say. And have a nice day. Like, comments appreciated. Ah, good old Infinity Pizza, 403-475-7566. Hello dear viewer, Zaidi boy here. Beautiful, the trappings of modern civilization. So, my journey continues. I'm at obviously Infinity Pizza here in Saddletown, and I appreciate you watching this stuff. I should start with an intro, right? I've over the years realized that there's traffic and noise to be dealt with, and so I've tried to become better at these clips in terms of I may not have the viewers, but that's not to say that my filmmaking shouldn't get better, right? So I've tried to steady the camera, okay, and pay attention to, like, for right now, for instance, I'm looking not at myself but at the camera, which would be yourself, right? So it's a hard thing to pull off, because I mean, it's like when you're on Skype and you see or WhatsApp even, you see your little face down here in the corner, and it's very distracting. And you keep looking there, and the other person, if they're sharp, they know what you're doing. Like, you keep looking at yourself, and it's a dead giveaway. That's another reason. Wow, it's still recording. I don't know what happened. Skype, WhatsApp versus Zoom versus what I use, which is called whereby.com. Whereby.com. I'm gonna go inside the shop here. I ordered a pizza. I hope that guy doesn't mind me filming. Some people freak out. This guy seems kind of cool. Corona pandemic. I was talking about that just a little while ago. Hey bro, you don't mind me filming in here, do you? I guess not, right? So, my wife, as it were, dear viewer, like I mentioned, my wife kicked me out. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm putting you guys on YouTube, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, very nice guys, man. Very nice guys. Very cool guy. I think he was the owner who actually took my order, and he seemed just, you know what? He said, "You want spicy?" And I was like, "Sure." Then he's like, "Do you want a Punjabi pizza?" And I was like, "What?" So he prepared a Punjabi pizza, and let's take a look at what that looks like. It actually looks pretty damn good. So God is great. You know, my wife kicked me out at home, and if nothing else, I get to enjoy delicious Punjabi pizza. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm feeling sad right now, more for her than myself, and obviously all of it just fell off. What you're meant to do, because I delivered pizza, you're meant to let it cool for like 30 seconds or it does fall off like that. But in any case, I'm starved. Pretty damn good. I was going to say to the guy that it's actually going to be potentially too hot for me. So, something I wanted to chat about here before firing this thing up. I wanted to continue my story and just kind of tell you that I've calmed down since the train. On the train I was feeling pretty